Today, I want to talk about mini trainings and why SEO School is not one of them.
Welcome to the Up in My Business podcast with me, Lex Lancaster, where you'll get an inside look at all things tech, business, and my life as a physical therapist turned digital operations expert. You'll hear all about my lessons as a business owner, the ins and outs of tech for your business, and more. From SEO, websites, and email marketing to automations, launches, and copywriting, I've got you. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Up in My Business. Today is officially the first day for public enrollment of SEO School. You can enroll via the link that is in the show notes, and I welcome you to join. I do limit the amount of folks who come into SEO School because quality. I don't anticipate seats completely filling. I kind of knew this from when I launched it to the waitlist last week, but I will tell you that if you're waiting, or if on your mind you're going to wait until the next round that will look like the current round will not be until fall of 2027. There are a lot of reasons for this, but fall of 2027 will be the next round that looks the way this one does. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have it open in the next year, but it will not be support included, meaning there won't be Zoom calls, etc. So I would say do whatever feels best for you. I'm not the person who's going to be like, here's some crazy urgency so you enroll and then you regret the purchase. Like, no. So if you are interested, enroll. If not, then obviously wait until you're ready if you're interested. I'm sitting here and I just need to say it out loud. I don't know who is familiar. Obviously, if you're listening to this, you may have heard last week's episode where I said that I got hit in the face with a volleyball and got a black eye. And my vision right now, I'm like, I think my eye, I don't like the eye. The last time I went to the eye doctor was like, I don't know, 6+ years ago. And I'm not someone who, wants to go to the eye doctor. But right now I'm going through a stage of like, it seems like the bruise has healed and it's no longer like tender to the touch, but my eye is so like dry and sensitive and it feels like there's a scratch on it, but I don't think there is, but like it feels like there's something in it. And when I used to get really bad allergies, it feels like that. Like it feels like there is a sensation in the bottom of my eyeball and it feels full. It just doesn't feel normal and it feels irritated. And I'm sitting here watching, because when you record a podcast, you can see the length of the episode and the volume at which you're talking. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, jeepers creepers, my right eye just feels like it's not functioning as it should be. And it feels heavy, which is annoying. I'll be honest, it's annoying. So I have eye drops. I got those today and I've been putting them in all day and they do make it feel better. And it's not like a constant pain or a constant irritation. So that's good. So I'm telling myself it's just time and I have to wait. I'm going to be doing more red light, etc. today just because it's annoying. It's annoying when your eye is messed up because everything you do requires your vision. And I'm sitting here I'm so grateful that I am not I have a vision. Yes. And right now it's so frustrating to have this itchy eyeball. And everything says not to itch it because then if you actually, not to scratch it, because then if you actually scratch it and you rub your eye, it makes it worse. And nighttime is especially worse because histamine increases at night naturally. And it apparently, my eyeball just says screw you. You're not going to have a good vision / the ability to sleep because your eye is going to be so itchy. So anyway, all right, moving on. So what I want to talk about today, because it is officially SEO School enrollment week, it's this week only. And on Friday, I will close it. I am excited because this new curriculum, for lack of better terms, is just the best that I've ever created. And with some recent messaging online, I want to address some reasons why SEO School does not fit into the new quick training or, one-off low ticket training options. And what I mean by this, if you're not familiar with it, is right now there's a big hype around mini trainings. So AKA a webinar. I've run a bazillion of these. And I have a lot of them for sale on my website. The pre-recorded version or the recorded version of the webinar is for sale on my website. This has been a thing for like a bazillion years. This is how I started in 2020. And I was running live webinars and then selling the recording afterward. So this is not like a new thing. It's just being promoted a lot more now, which whatever. Everything is dead to someone in some way, shape, or form at all given times. And everything can work for everyone. There is not one way to do it. So anyway, what I want to talk about is the reason why SEO School in itself cannot be a mini training. And this is something that I do think works against me in a lot of ways because I can't offer SEO School as a mini training because it doesn't make sense. But also it allows me to target a very specific group of people that understand that it cannot be a mini training. So when it comes to a mini training, you're typically looking at or a mini course or a targeted one-off webinar training. You're really focused on one solution and you're answering one question that someone has. You're solving one problem that they have. When you think about how to offer that thing, it has to be able to stand alone. So without other information, you have to be able to take it and have it make sense to be offered by itself. So if you're familiar with my offers, I've actually done this with two different things in regard to SEO School. One is Blogging Bootcamp and two is the Website Audit Mini Course. So those two options that are technically part of SEO School have been pulled out into their own specific offers. They're still not $2 because Blogging Bootcamp is literally probably one of the best trainings I've ever offered. And also, I will say Blogging Bootcamp is going to be re-recorded by me this summer. And then that's going to be what I now promote as my introductory course, because that is something that anybody can do. SEO School is not. So they have to make sense by themselves. So Blogging Bootcamp and my Website Audit Mini Course, they make full sense to offer by themselves because you can take just that course and understand just that piece. Now, if I were to pull something else out, I could easily pull out like links. And then I could pull out, when we're talking about local business, which I have done. I have pulled out a local business course. So I guess that's another piece that I have pulled out. I could pull out, setting up your tech. I could pull out like, what is SEO, which again is my SEO crash course. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, the mini course situation. Sorry if you just heard that siren. There's been so many sirens here lately. So when it comes to a mini course for everything you need to know about SEO, what I want you to pull out of and what I want you to take away from this is that it's impossible to teach you everything you need to know about SEO in one mini course because it's a lot of different things. So SEO, if we talk about motor learning, I always approach SEO as part training and then you learn the whole. And in the most recent re-recording of the course, I start with the whole, I break down the parts, and then I return back to the whole. So I always do whole and part training for SEO because it makes the most sense for you to see the result. You see you see the different pieces, and then you put together all the pieces to get the result. Now, I'm going to tell you that I could never teach you what you need to know for SEO in a way that promotes effective learning in a one-off training. Absolutely not. It's just impossible. Not because I don't have the pieces and I don't understand how to boil it down into a really easy, tangible concept. That's not what it is. I have taught many things where I'm like, hey, look, here is the initial things that you need to know about it. I talk about that in many folks' groups, any masterminds I speak in. I have talked about that, so many times. But when it comes down to, what exactly can I teach effectively in a one-off course, I can't do that with SEO School. It is not fair to anybody for me to tell you and say out loud that this is everything you need to know about SEO. You're going to learn it in 90 minutes. That's absolutely ridiculous and it's not doable. And in the quality that I hold myself and my business and all of my standards to, it's just not doable. Now, pieces of the course can be taught in 90 minutes, blogging bootcamp, local SEO. I have my website audit bootcamp or website audit mini course. That's actually not even a pre-recorded. That's all written and very easy to follow on your own. But you can't teach everything you need to know about SEO and strategy inside a mini course. And the thing is I could say, because somebody would be like, well, okay, just teach all the mini courses. So let's just pretend I pull out each module of SEO School, which I could do, and teach it separately and have them as mini courses that you could go buy. Just go learn about how to use links. Just go learn about how to do your website. Just go learn about how to do X, Y, and Z thing. Could I do that? Yes, I could. And I very easily could. But as of right now, in this very moment, I can't say that would be me operating within my integrity to do that, because it would be like giving you an episode of a show and then just leaving you hanging on a cliffhanger. And like, that's it. And you don't actually get the story, you don't get the ending, you don't get anything except for what I gave you, that one episode. And I leave a bunch of things unfinished for you. And then that's it. Now, I know that I could teach different sections of this course by itself. Yes, of course. Like, you can do anything like that. You can teach any course in different modules and sell the module. But in my bones, I know that will not get you the result that I would love for you to get. And having that one piece will not get you that result. That's why I'm able to pull out the local SEO section, the blogging section, and the website section. Because if you do those courses and you implement the things that you're taught in those courses, you will still get a really good result. Right? So I'm not giving you a piece without allowing you to get a result, because that is not, in my brain, that is not fair. That's not something I want to charge money for if you're not able to follow the steps that I give you and then get a result from those steps. It feels really grimy to pull out a piece of something that you can watch, you can understand, you can learn, but then just implementing that thing will not get you results. And that feels bad for me. And I guess if I was going to compare it to something that you can feel as a practitioner, it would be like someone coming in and they have knee pain and they're an elite runner, and what you do for them is you decrease their knee pain, but you never do any of the strengthening and the sports performance training that they actually need to not have knee pain again. That would not feel good. Now, I'm not saying if you do that, no judgment by any means, but I'm just saying that you're doing one piece of the puzzle that doesn't really make sense to offer by itself. Now, because they're not going to get the full result that they want or the full result that they need. And I think, one of the things that comes along when you own a business and when you make your own offers, and genuinely when you are your own business coach, like, I am the person who's making all of these decisions. One of the things that I've really fought myself on is, can I offer this in a shorter format? Can I make this more digestible? Am I able to give people the information that they need and that they can apply right away without needing to spend $2,000 on the course and without needing to spend 6 months with me, or 3.5 months of learning and then being on calls for 3 months after that? Like, can I do that? Can I, in my integrity, offer a solution as such? And that is when I started pulling out the pieces that make sense. Blogging bootcamp, website audit mini course, local SEO. Because I understand that there are people who are at different stages of their business and different stages of willingness to, I'm going to say, be gritty and learn the thing. And there are people who genuinely feel like, I don't have the time, I don't want to, don't have the time, not interested, whatever it is. And those people could benefit from these shorter trainings that make sense on their own. Now, the thing is like, I am making these decisions and I'm saying, can I or can I not offer this and still feel good about it? And I also, in all of my courses, tell people, this is one piece of the puzzle. If you do the blogging side, just recognize you're doing nothing on your website. That can be problematic. If you do the website, I'm not talking to you about content. That can be problematic. But all of these pieces by themselves are a thing. They do need to be quote unquote optimized. And if you get that one piece done and you take that course, you're able to do that. And then that piece is done. And then you just need another piece and another piece. Whereas when we're talking about part versus whole training, and I'm telling you, here's everything that goes into SEO, and then I need to teach you all of those pieces by themselves, there are pieces in there that don't make sense to offer by itself. It just does not make sense. And also when we're talking about, the reasoning behind what you do. And I do not believe that it is worth watering down my content in order to fit the latest fad of a quick training, a lower ticket master course that answers one question. It just isn't worth it to me. Not for SEO school. It does not make sense. And I'm not saying this because people are asking me. I think I'm sharing this as a message to relay that the reason this course is so big is not because I haven't thought very, very, very hard about what to include and what not to include. I include it all, by the way, but it's also because I have thought about it. I have pulled out the things that make sense. I have pulled out the shorter trainings that will help you without taking the whole course. And if you only have a certain amount of money to spend, I have done that. And I can't do it any further. It just wouldn't make sense. And I couldn't do it within my integrity of being like, here's one module that fits within this course that you genuinely can't just use on its own. And I want you to know that there are options for getting started that don't include the whole course. But if you do want to know everything you need to know, believe me when I say that I have done everything I can to make this course as streamlined as possible, especially given the new curriculum. And I know that it's streamlined, and I know that it's much, much, much better than it used to be. And I know that I've included everything because the Q&A calls for this cohort were so much different than the Q&A calls for the last cohort. And that's by design. I took every question I had ever been asked in previous rounds and put it in the course. And this round was mostly just clarifying anything that one person may have had a question on and going into personalized coaching / stats. And that is very different than previous rounds. It really, really, really is different. And it made me feel so validated that I was able to take all the things that I used to be asked and actually put it in the course. And the course is comprehensive. You essentially you can 110% show up to the course or buy the course and not show up to any calls and get everything you need to know. And then if you wanted to show up to calls, that's where you get the personalized coaching and that's where you get the personalized experience. So anyway, all that to say, I love a mini training. And by a mini training, I'm going to say a webinar. I've offered many webinars in my business. I've offered many webinars since 2020. And this course is impossible to fit into a mini training because it's not one problem that you're solving. It's not one problem that I am teaching you how to solve. I am teaching you how to solve every problem as it relates to SEO. And it all fits together because it's like a puzzle. It is a puzzle that everything has to fit. And I'm going to tell you a quick story. So back in 2023, it was early 2023. And this is me saying I've done this. So back in early 2023, I said to myself, SEO school is a lot. And as a practitioner, like I recognize that it would be a lot to commit to if I were someone who was considering it. And I was like, I think what I could offer is a SEO foundations course that would go through most of the things that I go through in SEO school in a webinar format, live webinar, and you would walk away basically having all of the principles that you would need to implement for SEO. You just wouldn't get all of the whys. So in my brain, I was just like, I'm going to solve the problem of the person who doesn't want to sit down and learn all the things. And I'm just going to teach this like masterclass. It's going to be an SEO foundations class. I'm going to go through everything that they need to know, but just leave out all of the why. So leave out the things that are like, this connects to this, and this is why we do this, and this piece fits into this piece, and this is what, so basically kind of like a live checklist, if you will. I ran it and I didn't look up the data before I started talking for this podcast episode, so I'm not going to do it now, but I ran it. And I want to say I almost want to just look it up as I'm talking. I had a decent chunk of people register for this course. I will tell you, I have never in my history of offering different classes, different courses, etc., I have never left something that I ran feeling like I gave way too much stuff, and so much so that I knew that they likely weren't going to actually do it. Meaning I know that these people left. I'm just going to actually see how many people signed up. Okay, I got it here. 35 people. So 35 people went through this, and I'm looking at the names of who went through it. And I will tell you that when I offered this, I left the call and I was like, man, I know that I just gave them way too much information. I gave them way too much information. They're going to leave this webinar. They're going to feel too overwhelmed to implement anything. It's going to be a lot. They likely understand a little bit more, but this is not going to be helpful for them. This is going to make them more confused because I gave them so much information that it's now overwhelming. And I didn't do my typical style of teaching where I make sense of everything, because that is the skill of mine that I truly believe makes a really great teacher, is you're able to not only teach the principles, but you're able to connect the dots. Like, I need you to connect the dots as a teacher. And I wasn't able to do that because in my brain, I was just like, I'm going to structure this accordingly. I'm going to give them the live webinar version of the to-do list. And the information itself was really good. It was amazing. The information was great, but I never ran it again, and I never will run it again. Absolutely not. 110% not, because I know that people left that call, and even though they learned a lot from me, it did not solve the problem of them knowing exactly how to take their first step and then their second step and then their third step and why the F they're doing it in the first place. And that's a huge problem for me. It creates a lot of cognitive dissonance when people are like, oh, well, I have to do this thing because I don't know, I just have to do it. I just was told to do it. I hate that response. I hate that response with business coaching. I hate that response with strategy. I don't care, like, whatever you do, whatever you decide to do, awesome. But the response of, oh, I don't know, I was just told to do it that way. why? Do you know why you were told to do it that way? Do you know why it makes sense for you and your business? Does it make sense for you and your business? Like, do you understand that? And that's the thing that I'm doing with SEO School as well, is I'm not giving you what made sense for me. I teach you how to figure out what makes sense for you inside the concepts. And again, that SEO Foundations course, like I thought that I was doing a service, because I told you before, I have thought about this to literally, I don't want to say like I'm going to be thinking about it to my freaking grave. I have thought about this in so much depth and over so much time and deciding what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. And after running that, I know for a damn fact that a mini training for teaching these concepts is not fair to anyone. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to me as an educator, because I'm not able to teach you everything that, will help you as a learner. It's not fair to you because you feel like you're drinking water from a fire hose. And also it's a webinar, so there's no support from me. Like, hey, see you for the webinar. Bye, we're done. I didn't like it. It was not my best work, because the intention that I had was to make it easier for people. And even though that intention was very pure, it ended up becoming something that just made concepts, yes, sure, more understandable, but the actual output and the meaning of it, my goal was not able to be reached, which is, hey, let's help people do the thing, because it was too much information in so little time. So, moral of the story here, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, what I want you to know is I've already pulled out the pieces that you can do on your own. If you're not ready for SEO School, if you don't want to learn it all, cool. You can go take the smaller trainings that are less expensive. They're a piece of the puzzle. And then if you ever feel like you're ready, then you can come join SEO School at that point. If you are ready to dive into SEO School, just know that the course itself has been redone so that every single week you learn only the things that you need to learn. It's very streamlined, and it is all the information with the tactical principles and also the strategy and explanation around it, so that you're able to apply anything that you learn in the course to what your business is, which is the difference between anything else that I have found out there. I want you to know how to apply this to your business, not just this is what works for me and make this thing because this is how I did it. I want you to use the principles in order to figure out what exactly you need. And lastly, understand that as a business owner, and if you're listening to this, you're likely a business owner too, or someone who aspires to be a business owner, you think about the ways in which you can make things more approachable and easier for folks all the time. And SEO School is no exception to that. I have thought about this and thought about this and thought about this. And I can say with my full chest that how the course is laid out is how it needs to be in order to deliver the promise that I have for the course and the promise that I have laid out on the sales page. Like, you will learn everything you need to know about SEO so that you can manage it by yourself for the rest of forever. You don't need to hire an agency. You don't need to hire me. Like, it's not a bait and switch. This is simply so you understand and can implement SEO on your own forever. And I am unable to offer that in a mini course without it being, one, drinking water from a fire hose and way too much information in way too little time, and two, a fair representation of the time that SEO takes, and three, in a way in which you will get the intended result by listening to the information presented. It just doesn't work. And again, if it did, believe me, I would teach it. Like, I don't have this big, massive course because I want to make a bunch of money. Like, that's not the case at all. I have the big, massive course because in order to meet my promise, in order to make my promise hold true, I have to have all the information in there, which then means it's a bigger, massive course. It also means that I have support included because I know that this stuff can be a little bit confusing to folks, typically, or folks have questions and they want to make sure things are clear. So I don't want to leave you hanging. So yes, it does have support with it. And the course is spread out over 6 months because if you want to do SEO work and you want to invest your time and energy into SEO, you have to understand that it's going to take time to do that. And it's quite literally impossible to learn all of that stuff in a 90-minute masterclass or a 1-hour masterclass without it being insanely ineffective. And I say that because I saw it and I experienced it, and I don't want that. I would never offer that again. And yeah, that's really the message that I want to send today. And, you know, if you're someone who has taken SEO school or you just don't care about the SEO side of things, cool. Like, I'm happy for you when it comes to that. What I want you to take away from this is that you have to, as a business owner and as the person who's teaching material, you always have to figure out what makes sense for the offer itself, and in order for people to get the result that you want them to get. And even if offering something may allow you to get more people into something, just recognize that if that's not going to give them the best result or the intended result that you want them to get, and you're doing it instead so that it like fits into the latest trend, or you're able to charge a little bit less money, just recognize that you're not doing yourself a service anymore, or your consumers a service anymore. You're simply watering down your content so that it can fit into something that will be fleeting. And that doesn't do anyone any good. And it doesn't, you know, I'm assuming most folks who are in business have, you know, a value in which they want to make sure that they're teaching things that people will be able to learn and implement, and people aren't going to waste their time by doing this thing. And you can't hold that value true if you water down all of your stuff and leave a bunch of open loops for people to then have to like, do what? Now what? They have the open loop. They feel like they have all this information but have no idea what to do with it. Like, that doesn't help anybody. And I am very, very happy that I ran the course that felt bad. And I'm very happy I ran that mini course so that I can say from the other side, that ain't it. And also I'm happy that I can look at what's going on in the ecosystem of online business right now and just say, like, I can't make this a mini training. And the mini trainings I've already created are the mini trainings that I can pull out with, you know, my integrity intact from SEO School. And that's what I've already done to make this a little bit more digestible for folks who aren't ready for the whole course. All right, friends, that's all I've got for you. I'd love to hear any questions, concerns, anything that comes up, whether it's related to this episode or SEO School. I'm happy to answer. Just know that I am very strict on my enrollment deadline. So if you are not enrolled by Friday, April 24th at 11:59 p.m. PT, you will be waiting until fall of 2027 for enrollment into the course as it exists now with the support included. And I say that not because I feel like anybody's going to be late Larry, but believe it or not, it happens. And I'm very strict about those at this point. And it just makes it way more difficult for me. I have to just, the tech side of things is actually quite difficult. It's not difficult. It's time consuming. So if you end up trying to register on Saturday, now I have to go open the offer. I have to make sure it's valid until Saturday at whatever time. Now we're going back and forth via email. So now how long do I need to actually make it open for? It's just a pain in the butt. You know about it now or whenever you're listening to this. And if it's after Friday, April 24th, just know like it's no longer open. But you know about it now. So if you're interested, please make sure you enroll before Friday. And if you're not, or you've already taken SEO School, amazing. I love that you know that it's not a fit for you. And if you've taken SEO School, thank you so much. I hope you got everything that I intended for you to get out of the course. And if you're one of those people who bought it and hasn't yet made it through the course, go to the new curriculum. I promise it's really approachable. It's very, very easy to understand at this point. I've boiled it all down to exactly what you need to hear. And just keep me posted on how it works for you. All right, friends, thank you so much for listening. I will catch you next time.